Well, we're happy to have you here. We're happy to have all of you. And first, I want to congratulate so many of you for winning our Marine Environment Protection Award. It was really a difficult decision this year based on the quality of the submissions. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we're going to try and make this as painless as possible. As many of you know, we're going to be, we hold our awards after our Marine Environment Protection Conference. And then we hold a brief half-hour NAMEPA annual general meeting. And this year, instead of leading into cocktails and the awards dinner, we're going to be leading straight into the awards. So cocktails are not optional, but it is BYOB.
Seems
and
fair.
Especially on the West Coast or in Hawaii, that's starting early, but it's you know, it's cocktail hour somewhere. So. But at any rate, so I've got
shipping us some miniatures, right, Carlene?
The idea is to learn a lot, you know, demonstrate what we're doing and have fun. One of the things that NAMEPA does, spends a lot of our time on is communicating the value proposition of the maritime industry to the general public. And one of our key ways of doing it is holding these awards so that we can broadcast the good work that you're doing, which further underscores the positive aspect of organizations that are committed to save our seas, but also let the general public know that this is not a nameless, faceless industry, that we are all citizens of the world and that we're working together to make it better. And our awards event is designed to help do that. But before we get to our awards, we have our Marine Environment Protection Conference. And Molly, why don't you why don't you walk us through the event, including the fact that Molly will be opening at 2 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday with, instead of having safety briefings now, we have Teams briefings.
Yes, so thank you, Carlene. And so we're gonna test this out now because I see myself echoing on Carlene's computer. So the way we're gonna, there, and she's muted, good job. So the way we're gonna introduce everything during the conference itself, you know, Carlene's gonna have a little introductory technical verbiage she's gonna go over. And part of that is that we ask that if you are not speaking, you're muted. And so looking at your screen right now, on the very top right-hand corner, there are 4 options where you can turn your camera on or off. You can mute yourself, you can share your screen, or you can leave. So we just ask that you are muted. And in addition to that, unless you're presenting, we don't want your camera on either. So unless it's your time to be speaking or presenting, we ask that you turn your back. Look, everybody's great. Awesome. So going along
and
with
just
the
in
agenda,
case there's any doubt, we've been known to text people and we've been known to send emails and we've been known to call people to say, turn your camera off, turn your volume off.
Yes. And so if you happen to see across your screen that you've been muted, that's because we do have 2 people specifically during the conference going through to make sure everyone's muted when they should be, just because you'll end up hearing that feedback and it can throw you off. So going along with the agenda, we have Joe Hughes. He'll be opening it as the NAMEPA chair. We do have a little video we're going to introduce for NAMEPA. And we kick right off with State of Play, which is moderated by Captain Anoush. And then we start going through each of our speakers. If you don't have a PowerPoint, you won't see one here, obviously. If you did not submit a PowerPoint, when it comes to your time to talk, you'll see this slide. And then I will actually stop presenting the PowerPoint so you are full screen on everyone so we can see everything. Brian, for example, does have a PowerPoint, so we do ask that his camera is on while he's presenting, but then we will have his PowerPoint going at the same time. If you have a presentation, just say next slide because I'm controlling all of it. This says there's 84 slides. There's really like 150 slides of this PowerPoint. So just let me know when it's the next slide you want to transition, and we'll move on to the next one.
Just to
Molly, the only question-
clarify, Brian does not have 150 slides. What she's
No.
saying is that she's done a master deck with everyone's presentation in it.
Yes.
No, I was real nervous for a minute, Carlene. I got to be honest. I'm like,
No.
I don't think
You
I had
have
150
slides
slides.
in there. You're
No, quick question. So I have a video in mind, Molly. With
Yep.
that, will I just say when I say next slide, will you just because in my remarks I say I'd like to start the video now. Will you click that?
Yep. I'll go right through and start it. Yep.
And we've made sure that it
works and everything. Yep. You're good.
Cool. Thanks.
Nope. Of course. All right. And so then we have Cynthia Hudson. She'll do her presentation as well. And we go into Jeannie here. We do have a coffee/tea break, time pending. So important to note, after every time one of our speakers presents, if we have enough time, like 2 or 3 minutes, Carlene will open it up for questions.
At the end of the panel. At the end of the panel.
At the end of the panel, we'll open it up for questions. If we don't have time, though, we won't ask. So there's a chance Carlene may ask, there's a chance she may not. And so then again, we'll kick off with Jan Willem for preparing for the future for our next panel. And same thing again with our speakers. Now, once we...
Now, wait a second. I just want to know how Brian Salerno looks younger now than he did 10 years ago.
Molly, quick question. Isn't that the magic of Teams?
Yes, something like that.
Molly, quick question.
Yes.
You would be telling each speaker on that timeline, in the sense you'll be monitoring, and would it come up on their screen by saying you now have 2 minutes left or you have 1 minute left? How are you going to time space the speaker's presentation?
So to be honest, in May when we did this, we didn't really have any issues. Everyone was pretty good.
Okay.
So if by chance you're getting cut short there, you may get a message from Carlene. But we just ask that you just pay attention to the time. Like Carlene said, we're known to text you and email you. So just be aware of the time, that's all. But I know during the Amber Awards, we had everyone was actually very good with time.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. Thank you.
It's a question from Jan Willem. Is there share comments, or is any comments visible to everybody on the Teams call?
All the comments will be visible to everybody.
Okay, that's important to know.
Yep. So there is no private chat between all of us. I mean, if you wanted, we could actually use this one as a private chat between us, because attendees cannot see it. This is separate. It's separate Teams call from the large event itself. So we can do that in here if you would like. If you're not familiar with it, I'm just worried that some may get thrown off.
I'm not in favor. So if something goes sideways for whatever, we address you, Molly.
Yep, and I'm putting my email right now in the chat.
Yeah.
So you can email me, or you can even call me too, or text me. I will be actually side by side with Carlene, 6 feet apart on Thursday.
Okay.
So.
And I just want to remind the moderators that it is ultimately their responsibility to help ensure that the presenters are sticking to the 10-minute timeline per presentation.
Yeah, on that note, do you think it's a good idea just to give everybody like a 1 minute, if they have 1 minute left? It's like we have about a minute left, just no matter where they're at? Or 2 minutes?
It's usually a good idea.
Or 2 minutes?
I think 1 minute is sufficient.
Yeah, out of 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So in Teams, you can have the slide and one presenter. I don't think you can have the moderator, the presenter, and the slide, right?
Correct. So the way you're gonna introduce obviously your panel, and then it'll probably you can keep your camera on if you wanted, but we prefer to have just a speaker with their camera on and then their presentation going.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. And so once we get into our leadership roundtable, this is where actually we'll have our introduction here. We have our roundtable itself. So at this point, once this slide comes up, we'll introduce everyone. but I will stop actually sharing the PowerPoint, and only those that are part of the leadership will have their cameras on. So that way we'll be able to see them in what's called together mode. And so, or there's the large gallery option also. I usually do the large gallery mode. And what it does is it makes it so we can see as many of them as possible on the screen. So for some of our attendees joining, they'll know how to navigate to that. It will be in Carlene's wording in there on how to do that, but just in case. So on the top of your screen, there's those 3 dots, and there's gallery mode, there's large gallery mode, or there's together mode. You may or may not have that accessible to you depending on the version of Teams you're using, if your company uses it. So when I actually stop presenting, for example, you can see my screen, or you can't see my screen now, but if I were to share it with you, whoops, let's see here. It's going to keep showing the same one.
Molly, while you're navigating that,
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course, yes.
Are you, for the leadership roundtable, planning to introduce the individuals on the roundtable, or would you like me to do that?
You're going to introduce them.
Okay, perfect. I just
Yep.
wanted to make sure.
So for example, as you see my screen, when I turn my camera on now, it should bump me up into with you guys. So as everyone turns their cameras on, they'll be bumped up into this panel itself speaking. So we only want those, there goes in those, exactly. So during this time, only those who are meant to be on that round table will share their screen, or I'm sorry, turn on their camera and we'll see them. Perfect. Awesome. Oh, there you go, Carlene. See, you are with.
All right.
Great. And so let me go back to my PowerPoint here. Perfect. So then we're going to go into our general meeting. Joe, Chairman of NAMEPA, is going to transition us. We'll have our meeting here. We do have member milestones we'll talk, and then Joe and Carlene will transition into our awards program. So I don't have all the awardees listed on here just yet, but they will introduce the award winner. They'll explain the category, why they got that award, and then those who won will be able to have a few, brief words that they can say acknowledging it. At the end, we have the
Summaries.
grouping of all of them, summaries, and then we'll conclude with Joe.
I just want to mention if you are award winners, and we're all award winners, aren't we? But if you are receiving an award that night, we do invite you to say a few words. So your certificate will be seen. There will be whoever is actually doing your category, whether it's Joe or me, will be seen, and then we invite you to say a few words of acknowledgement or recognition, etc. So make sure your camera's on for that part. And your microphone.
Yes. And all of this will be recorded too. So the entire, as I'm recording this right now, either myself or Gail, I'm sure Gail will be sending it to all of you just in case, so you can rewatch this recording. If you have any questions, you again can email me at any time. My email I put in the chat, m.dushay@namepa.net, as well as my phone number. And again, I'll be with Carlene, so again, you can reach out to her too. Does anybody have any questions, any concerns?
Hi, Molly. Anuj here. Couple of questions. One, the bios, when would they come to us as the moderators? We needed those.
I will have Gail send to you today.
Awesome. Then was Teams invitation. So would we use this invitation, what you've sent us, or will there be a separate invitation coming which we can put into our calendars?
There'll be a separate one, and I will send that to you. You should have already received it, but I'll resend it to you, Anuj.
Awesome. I was just going to say, on our website at this time, if you look at the link, it says, sorry, this page could not be found. So there's, I think, our link for
So-
this today's conference, this
Yes,
fifth
so I actually
conference.
changed the link because it said a dinner at the end, and this is not a dinner anymore.
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, so that was
You're
one.
good though.
And last is I'd registered somebody to attend, and they haven't received anything. Although I got a confirmation of registration, but they did not get a link or for attending, or some detail, some email. I'm sure it's coming. I just thought bring it to your attention.
Yep. So when they registered, it tells them on the left-hand side. But Jeannie, she handles our registration for that, and she will be sending Wednesday night as well as Thursday morning an email push with the link as just a confirmation again. But the link when you actually register is on the page itself there.
Okay. The only problem is I registered 2 of us, so the second person doesn't see the link. That's where the problem was. But thank you. Thank you
No
for that.
worries. Of course. Yep.
Thanks.
And does anybody else have any questions?
I've got a question, Molly.
Yes.
I host a lot of events for DMVGL, virtual events using Teams, GoToWebinar. Do you have a preference for use of headsets, microphones when it comes to the audio portion? And then also any advice with regards to, I'm working from home. You can't see it because of the background, but connection on virtual personal networks for those that may be working from home and not through the office, delays in bouncing of servers for, say, the sake of viewing presentations. Do you have any guidance for those of us on how to navigate that in the best possible way?
Yes. So if you are at home using your own network, I do suggest that you have limited people using your Wi-Fi or your internet at the same time. The more people you have on it, the more people you have will actually slow it down. If you do see that your internet is slow, if you have the ability to hardwire your internet with like the Ethernet into your device, I suggest you do that also. Limiting the amount of windows or browsers you have open, things like that. Something as simple as turning the Wi-Fi off on your cell phone. If you're working from home, that helps too. In terms of peripherals, so headsets, anything like that, if you are going to use a headset, that's fine. Especially if you have kids or a dog or anything in the background, it will minimize the background noise. So like as you are right now, and I see Anuj has a headset on himself, it does minimize background noise. It's helpful. It drowns it out. If not, it's totally okay. It's up to you. Clean background image, obviously. If you don't have that, again, there's the 3 dots on the very top, the ellipses. If you click that, you can apply background effects. You can blur your background. You can select one of the professional ones. Some of you will have that option. If you don't have that option, just have a clean background. I think those answered your questions. Anything else?
No, I think that was pretty much everything that I had. Thank you.
This is Jan Willem. Can I have the slides from my participants? Because I see not all of my panel are on this call today.
Yes.
So
I'll have Gail send to you, Jan Willem. I'll have her send to you your whole panel as well as their bios.
Right.
And their contact information too.
So if I hear 150 pages, that's 2.5. That's 2.5 hours for 1 minute of slide.
Yeah.
Just want to check how many slides there are in my panel.
Let's see here. You're from 36 down to 75, and not everybody has a presentation though in your group.
This is Garth.
40, that's 40 minutes worth easily just on slide. Okay.
Another question with regards to transitions between the aspects on the agenda. Say for the leadership roundtable, when we close, we've got 45 minutes. So at the end of that 45 minutes, I can make the remark that we've kind of reached the conclusion of our leadership roundtable. Who should I be kicking the virtual stage back over to?
You're going to kick it over to Joe Hughes.
Okay, so I'll hand it to Joe as he's the next one on the agenda.
Yep.
Okay.
He's going to kick it off from there for the AGM or meeting itself. Yep.
Okay.
Molly, quick question. So when we do the introductions to our panel, do we also highlight any topics they're going to be looking at?
Ooh. Who's got the feedback, guys? No. Say that one more time for me, Anush.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So when we introduce our panel, should we lay out certain topics which are hot, or should we just want it clean and dried, or do you want the moderators to speak for a couple of minutes to set the scene, for example, for that panel?
That's up to Carlene.
I think if you, we would welcome a couple of minutes, just as, you know, setting the stage, if you will. But again, as we all know, we're on a timetable, so a couple minutes would be terrific, but no more.
Understood. And do you, at the end, the questions, you're going to take care of it, so we're not going to look at any questions or anything at all?
Correct. What we're going to do is, if we have time, we'll open it for Q&A, and I'll be moderating that.
Thank you.
At the very end of all presentations?
At the end of the panel itself. Not at the end of each. We have a hand raised.
I may have left mine raised from before.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Any other questions? Well, we're looking forward to an excellent afternoon and evening on Thursday. And again, thank you all for your participation. Congratulations to all the winners. And this is a real value add for our industry. So thank you.